Bizarre Brain Comics. Hello, my comic book friends, and welcome to Bizarre Brain Comics. I am Gary, your host. And this is where I like to take a look at some older comics, talk a little bit about the characters and creators, and examine the stories and the art. Well, this time, we're going to have a look at not so much old regular comic books, but some books reprinting some old comic strips. As if you've followed me at all, you know I don't just get into the comic books. I like comic strips, humor strips, adventure strips. I really like the adventure strips, and upon occasion I talk about some of them. So what I have here is a stack. I think it's 11 books. I have many more, but this is plenty. Of books reprinting some classic comic strips, newspaper comic strips. These are like largely science fiction stuff, but and they're all adventure with the exception of our first one, which is Betty Boop, book 2 from Blackthorn Publishing. Okay, and this is from book is from 1986, but it features Betty Boop. Comics from 1934, and it is done by what's his name, Bud Cunahan, if I have pronounced that correctly. Now, depending on your age, you may not be aware of Betty Boop really at all. She's had various resurgences. She did again in the 80s and early 90s, and just a few years ago. But it's not this comic strips or the cartoons, and I'm sure a lot of the cartoons are available on YouTube. But licensing on like on T-shirts and cards and gift stuff like that. So, this is Betty Boop, Adventures of a Hollywood Star, and she was from King Features Syndicate. Cunahan, yeah. So it's very old-fashioned. Now, she is best known from her old black and white cartoons, animated cartoons. This stuff. This is. And this seems to be, it's been a long time since I've read much of it. Oh yeah, and it has paper doll. It has a paper doll on the back, and then inside are a few outfits. So, here in the strip, it seems to be mostly about directors, producers, and co-stars, etc. in Hollywood trying to take advantage of Betty Boop one way or another. But they aren't necessarily all. Has some continuing storylines, but it's all in a humorous vein. But they are humorous adventures. And now one thing you may not be aware is that the first few appearances of Betty Boop in a cartoon short, she was not the central figure. I cannot remember who it was. I've seen it, but I can't remember who it was. And she was actually a dog. She had, of course, she was based on a flapper, and the voice was inspired, and a lot of her image was inspired by a specific African American singer at the time, and I cannot remember who she was. I'm sorry, I just can't remember, and I'm not going to go digging for it right now. Now. But she was a dog. They changed, had these little droopy ears, which have been changed into her droopy ear rings, so that she looked more human. And then that's when she took off. And this is the version of her from her the cartoons that featured her, instead of it being a secondary or tertiary character when she became the main character. But of course, she's best known for boop boopy doo, and that's what was taken from one of the things that was taken from that singer. I can't remember. It doesn't matter now. For this, it doesn't matter. Now, then we go to the Phantom. And of course, this is classic Phantom. Phantom might be better known from the comic books, but his originated in the comic strips. And he is apparently the first comic character. This is in the 30s, and it's right along the line with the pulp heroes like the Shadow and that stuff. Well, he's along those lines, but he's the first one to sport be dressed in the form-fitting costume with a mask and the trunks. See he's the first one to wear trunks, predating Superman. Usually you think of it as Superman being the first one, and he is the best known, but the Phantom started that. It is by Lee Falk and Ray Moore. This book is from 1982, and it's reprinting the story from 1936. This is like during the Phantom's heyday. You can see rousing adventure, jungle, and aviation, and exotic locales, and beautiful good women and beautiful vile women. You name it. Then we go to Carrie Drake. This is Carrie Drake, book 3. It's a Reuben Award winner, again from Blackthorn Publishing. This book is from 1986, and Carrie Drake was carried by the News American Syndicate. And this features 2 storylines as Stitch and Bottleneck, and it should be from 1944 by Alfred Andriola. I hope I pronounced that right. Alfred Andriola. And he is Carrie Drake is a detective story, and seems to be a lot like Dick Tracy, which makes sense. Even down to some of although the artistic style is overall more realistic than Dick Tracy, his even has the grotesqueries for the villains. I don't know how much that carried through. I haven't read this in so long. See some of the adventures there on the back. Carrie Drake, Volume 3. I'm not sure if I have another Carrie Drake or not. Anyway, then we go to, this is actually 2. Comic Strip Preserves. This is also Blackthorn Publishing. Beyond Mars. This is by Jack Williamson and with art by Lee Elias. I loved these. And these are from, what is it? From, the book is from 1987. The books are from 1987. And, but the material is from 52 to 55. The strips. And it only lasted 3 years. And I think there's one more book. I have 2. I think but I've never seen it. And I loved it. And it was Sunday strips. Sunday adventure science fiction. Now, Jack Williamson, he was a fairly popular science fiction author. Came out of the pulp magazines. He did a lot of pulp science fiction, and then got some renewed popularity when a lot of that stuff was republished in the 50s and 60s. A lot of his old stuff, 50s and 60s, reprinted, and of course, new material as well. And this is not like Flash Gordon or Buck Rogers. And the name Beyond Mars comes from because the whole setting is in the asteroid belt between the orbits of Mars and Jupiter. That's not to say they might not occasionally go out there. But the main character is not unlike Steve Canyon, or at least as Steve Canyon started out. He is an independent rocket pilot, carrying cargo and stuff from mining colony to mining colony, etc. So, and having all kinds of adventures, has some with criminals and some with, even has a little bit of alien stuff. Two of his crew members are aliens from the, I think, asteroid belt. I'm not sure. Then you can clearly see, especially here, how close. Now, from what I understand, Lee Elias had been for a time, an assistant to Milton Caniff, who did Terry and the Pirates and Steve Canyon, etc. And it really shows, and it's some great work. And of course, in comic books, he's probably best known for his work on the Black Cat in the 40s and 50s, and he did work on a lot of other things as well. But he did some really great work here. If you ever wanted to see what Milton Caniff's work would look like as science fiction, this is as close as you're going to get. It's some nice stuff. So that's book 1. See some of the stuff on the back. And book 2. I think this finishes it up, because this one is thicker, and I think this probably concludes the. Oh, we did some of it sideways. It's easier to follow this way. Yeah, and these were Sunday Adventures. Then, keeping with the science fiction theme, we have Twin Earths. This is number 1. Said UFOs battle in outer space, and the book is from 1991, and Twin Earths, it was done by O. Lebeck and Al McWilliams in 1953, and this is the only one I've ever seen from of Twin Earths. And it's interesting. And it's the concept, of course, that the far side of the sun is another Earth. And in the course of the story, it's failing to realize that the Earth is not in a circular orbit, but in an elliptical orbit. And at some point or other, the two Earths would, besides eventually one catching up to the other and causing all kinds of terrible things to happen, but they would also be able to see one another, and that's the whole premise, that they couldn't see one another. And this is also, I believe, this is all sideways. Some really, really nice artwork, early artwork by Al McWilliams, who is probably best known now for his time on the Gold Key Star Trek comics. See an ad for the next or other volumes. Okay. Then is Dragon Lady Press's Breck Bradford. This is number 5. The book is from 1987, and the contents is from 37 and 38. Another science fiction comic strip. This is, wait, did I? And this was done by William Ritt, with art by Clarence Gray. And this is some really nice stuff, and makes me think a lot of Flash Gordon. But I don't know. But look, lots of tiny panels here. These were dailies. But you can see what I mean. It's very, very similar in appearance, anyway, to, looks like Savannah from Captain Marvel as the villain there. Yeah, I wonder if Dr. Savannah was based on that character. And it's all more good fun. Good fun. Then we go to something a little more lighthearted. Fun? Not really. This is Brenda Starr, #1, the book of 1986. Tribune Syndicate, done by Dale Messick, and the story contents are from 1945. Dale Messick, yeah. She was a pioneer of women in comics. And her name was sexually ambiguous enough that a lot of people, a lot of readers thought she was a man, and that helped her because no one wanted to read a comic strip by women, which is stupid, but that's what the bigwigs at the syndicates thought. So this has The Strange Case of the Beastly Twins, and it's the first Mystery Man story. Now, it was a running character, Mystery Man. Didn't know anything about him. Very romantic. Now, Brenda Starr was a newspaper reporter that went gallivanting all over the world, got into all kinds of trouble. You know, she's kind of like Lois Lane is kind of based on her, I think. And because then got this Mystery Man. Now, there was a 1980s, very poorly made movie that just went straight to video of Brenda Starr, starring Brooke Shields, and suddenly can't think of his name. James Bond from the 90s. Before I'm drawing a blank. And he was the Mystery Man. And this has got the first Mystery Man story in it. And it's a very lovely artwork, nice adventure stories, and she has some very lovely line work, and it just shows up so well in her stuff, in her work. And then she comes with paper dolls too. Brenda Starr cutouts, paper doll, and then it's got some more stuff there, and then has reprinted some of the paper doll stuff that was done in the paper. Paper dolls in the paper. And one could blow this up and cut them out, color them, you know. So. And in the 80s, Dale Messick retired before she passed away, and was taken over by Ramona Fradon. I think Dale Messick continued writing, but Ramona Fradon took over the art duties. Then we go to, and I'm going a lot longer than I intended. Here, Johnny Hazard by Frank Robbins. And this is from material from the 50 and 51, and the book is from 86. This is volume 8. Now, I've done an episode on Johnny Hazard before. That was featuring the volume of reprinting some colored work from the Sundays. And this is all daily stuff. I think he had different adventures from, I'm not sure, I don't remember, on the Sundays and dailies. Some strips did that. I don't remember if he did that or not. But, and again, you can see strong resemblance to Milton Caniff's work on Steve Canyon and stuff. And later Terry and the Pirates. And of course, Frank Robbins, while he was doing this, he was working in comic books as well. He did Johnny Hazard for 30 years, and he also wrote and drew comic books. Probably best known for his, like on Man from Atlantis and The Invaders. Did a lot of stuff on Detective Comics, Batman, stuff like that. And The Shadow, all kinds of things. And then we go to the man himself, Milton Caniff, from Terry and the Pirates. This one is number 3 by Milton Caniff. This book is from 86, reprinting material from 1936 from the Tribune Media Syndicate. Now this is earlier in Caniff's career. This is when Terry and the Pirates was just getting popular and stuff, and it was before his style had matured. It's still wonderful draftsmanship, and a lot of good line work and good solid blacks and general dark stuff. But this is before his more iconic style developed. Later in the Terry and the Pirates, and on into Steve Canyon, which is what he is best known for. And of course, he has been described as the Rembrandt of the comics. Then we finish this up with Dick Tracy, the original Dick Tracy. This is #1 from Gladstone Publishing, who was doing some Disney stuff. The book is from 1990 by Chester Gould, featuring material from 1947, so it's long after, well into his Dick Tracy's career, and done by Chicago Tribune Syndicate. And here he's fighting Mumbles. Dick Tracy fights the Mumbles Quartet. And again, with some really, really nice artwork, and of course he's highly stylized. And of course, many writers and artist teams have done Dick Tracy over the decades since the death of Chester Gould, including popular comic book artist Joe Stanton had his tenure on Dick Tracy. It's very stylized, and of course, this is where we get the grotesqueries for the villains, which was in Carrie Drake, and of course carried over into Batman. So that is all I've got to share with you this time, with some very fun and lovely comic strip, newspaper comic strip adventures. So I hope you enjoyed that little run. Let me know what you think of these comic strips in the comments below. What ones are you familiar with? Have you read? Do you like? Do you not like any of those? Let me know in the comments below. And remember, comics are art.